Raina Troy Hotline.
Alicia, Michael, what's going on?
We know you have takes. We have takes.
I'm actually surprised that your rant line, rave line, whatever, isn't completely full.
Why can't we just win a game?
Can I blame Michael Castillo for this?
Can I blame Bob Connolly for this?
Could I put on a zebra shirt and just go out there?
Scratch, claw, up against the wall.
Can't explain what I'm feeling right now, guys.
I can't believe it.
Let's open up that rave line! Woohoo!
Oh, I can't believe USC is 7-5 again. Oh no!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rant Line Radio episode. Not an episode, it's a Carcast. After USC's 42-20 victory over Rutgers. I would say good evening, but in about, 12 seconds, it's going to be good morning. It's a super late one here after a late game at the Coliseum. I'm your host, Mark Castillo, journalist, my co-host in the Rant Line Studio in Los Angeles, and sitting across the room from me, Alicia Artola.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. SC wins. No loss October.
Hey.
Not a thing.
No win October, I think is...
no win October. Yeah, you know what I mean. SC against the win, 42-20. We'll talk about it here in this episode. This might not be the longest Carcast just because it's so late, but you know us. We're probably going to ramble forever.
Yep. You
know how it goes. So, Alicia, just get right into it. Your initial thoughts of SC's 42-20 win.
So I predicted in the preview episode that this would be a 35-20 game, specifically because I thought that USC's defense is just a 20-point defense, and that should be what we expect, and that's literally what we expect, and what came to pass here. And I thought that USC's offense was going to have more positivity, more success in this game because of Rutgers' weakness, because sort of the lack of Rutgers' strengths on defense, specifically the areas where Rutgers struggled, which is, against the run, creating havoc, all of those things that have caused USC problems in the past. This defense was kind of set up for USC's offense to have a better day. USC had a better day than I expected them to have, while also, weirdly, having a worse day than they should have had. So this is a sort of a weird situation here for USC, but I think there's a lot of positives to take from this game. I think that I put this on Twitter, USC knows what their offense should be now, and what their offense should be is basically a steady dose of Woody Marks and Makai Lemon. Woody Marks leads USC in catches with 5 for 48 yards. He comes away with 94 yards rushing as well, 3 touchdowns. Makai Lemon is 4 catches, 134 yards and a touchdown. He is single-handedly carrying the explosive play torch for USC, not just on offense, but now on special teams. So that was a really good development to have. I think that we can commend the defense for playing well enough in this game, despite missing, I think it came out to like 6 or 7 starters in this game, with Jalen Smith out, with Greedy Vance out, with Jacoby Covington still out. These are big guys in USC secondary, the very, very important players in USC secondary that were missing out. And a lot was put on guys who have not played as much this year. And, I think it was rough sledding at times for some of them. But in the end, this was a game that USC could have had disaster strike, specifically because of all those injuries on defense. And ultimately, they didn't. Ultimately, they sort of kept things relatively in check. And we talked about this Rutgers offense as one that was basically built around Kyle Monangai, and that was definitely what their offense was, and his getting injured definitely hurt Rutgers, but I think what we saw from Kaliakmanis was kind of what we predicted.
Kaliakmanis?
Kaliakmanis. What did I say? Why did I say that backwards?
Kaliakmanis?
Yeah, Kaliakmanis. Kaliak Manis was what Kaliak Manis is. He'll find the receiver if you give him time and the receivers are open, and that happened plenty of times. But then he missed a bunch of plays deep because he's very inconsistent. And I'm just looking at his stats, and I'm trying to remember exactly what, not to spoil over under, but.
Oh, I've got it. I already pulled it up, and I was ready to tell you.
The over-under was 120.5.
Yeah, and tell the people what his passer rating was.
Michael took the under.
I did.
And Kaliak Manis's passer rating was 120.4.
Michael was right. Michael was right. Michael was right.
That is absurd. That's really funny. But yeah, like that. So that's a marker of, he puts up 313 yards, which is more than USC will have wanted. But his passer rating's pretty poor. He completes 57% of his passes. So again, it's sort of this mixture of like good. I think this game really lent itself to Miller Moss's skill set, where USC didn't need him to be chucking it long. That he was able to find things in front of him and ride a strong run game and sort of just hit Woody Marks and Mekhi Lemon underneath and have things go well in that sense. So positives there. I think that certainly we will be concerned about the way that USC just seems to become less effective in the second half offensively.
I have thoughts about that.
And I'll let you get to those thoughts, but not to speak on that specifically. I want to speak more on the here we go again of it all. I think that I wrote on Twitter, here we go again. I wrote in text messages, here we go again. I wrote on our Discord, here we go again. I know a lot of people talked about the here we go again after Rutgers scored that touchdown in the third quarter to make it, and then the 2-point conversion to make it an 8-point game. And it was like all of a sudden, again, a game that USC was just absolutely dominating suddenly became a close one, and one bad play on offense away from turning into another disaster. And thankfully, Mekhi Lemon steps up and makes sure that sort of thought goes away very quickly. But I think that I'm going to read this as a positive in the sense that USC had another here we go again moment, and they had one against Maryland, and they had one against Penn State, and they had one against Minnesota, and all of these even before we knew they were here we go again moments. And to their credit, they didn't give it up. They ultimately came through with the score that they needed after the score that they needed to pull back away. The defense got the stops that they needed at the end of the game, and it turned out to not be another one of those games. How much of that is a reflection of Rutgers not being great? I think you certainly can point to Rutgers not being great plenty of the time, and you can ask questions as to a not great Rutgers. Why were they allowed to put together 15 and 13 play drives at the end of this game and convert, how many fourth downs did it come out to? 3 of 4 or 4 or 5, 3 of 5 or whatever it was. All
3 of 6.
Yeah, 3 of 6. Again, you should just not be giving opposing teams 3 fourth down conversions. So there's still the same issues that I think USC can't quite break out of. But what I will say, I had some, to end my long rambling here, I had a thought before the game started that sort of solidified where USC is at in my mind. And where USC is at in my mind was, again, displayed in this game, which is USC offensively is a performance like Miller Moss had in this game more consistently away from winning games on offense, which USC has not had enough of these kind of Miller Moss performances. And then defensively, this team is probably a pass rusher away. And, I had a thought that the two positions in the NFL, one on offense and one on defense, that are the most highly paid in the pros are quarterback and pass rusher, whether edge or, interior, whichever one. It's the guys who get the sacks. And right now, what USC's biggest question marks, I think, on a game-to-game basis are quarterback, which is heavily influenced by offensive line and all of that kind of stuff. But defensively, it really comes down to USC lacks a pass rush. And in this game, USC comes away with 4 sacks in a game in which they still very, very much lacked a pass rush. And it's just very clear that it takes a lot for USC to find those opportunities to get the quarterback down. They get close a lot of the time, but they don't bring him down often enough. And that's really, to me, the difference between this defense getting into the trouble that they get into and not. This defense, even without great pass rush, is essentially a 20-point defense. I think to be better than a 20-point defense, they need that guy. They need that Tuli Tuipulotu or that, Leatu Latu from UCLA or something like that. So, again, I come out of this game feeling very similar to what I felt about USC for most of the season, which is this is not a complete team, but the foundational pieces of a team that does get better are there. They're just missing a few of those, and that's what sort of takes this game from being a resounding success to better, but still not quite there.
Yeah, I think my main takeaway from this game is that obviously context is matters. Mm-hmm. But I think if it wasn't for the PTSD of the 4 losses, I think that frames a lot of the look at this. I know that there was the here we go again moment, and I rightfully so, right? SC has put themselves in a position to blow 2-score leads many times this season. And so rightfully so, you should be worried. Absolutely. On the other hand, SC answered the bell on offense. And I know that Shotgun had tweeted out that the drives in the second half left some to be desired because there were a lot of short drives before the final drive, the Mayava drive with under 2 minutes to go. That had 6 plays, but before that, every drive that SC had either 3 or 4 plays. I get the concern about that in the second half, but they had a 70-yard pass play, and they had a touchdown pass to Mekhi Lemon that was 40 yards. I think that SC has struggled to be explosive this season.
Yeah.
They were explosive in the second half. They weren't overly consistent, and I think that part of that too is it's the comparison to the first half because SC was 100% on available yards in the first half. They scored touchdowns on literally every single drive on that first half, and I think compared to the first half compared to the second half that way, definitely looks like there was a big downtick because SC wasn't flawless in the second half. They had 3 drives in which they punted, right? And they didn't punt at all in the first half.
Yeah, so, 3 punts on drives of 4 plays, 3 plays, and 4 plays. I think
and one of those, Miller Moss has been plagued by tip passes at the line, which is a problem. But there's the unfortunate tip pass that takes away a pass interference that would have extended a drive. There's Mekhi Lemon dropping a 3rd down that would have extended a drive. I don't. You want to eliminate those things. You absolutely want to eliminate those things. You don't want to have self-inflicted, issues on 3rd downs. But I don't think that it was overly alarming in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
In part because SC was able to only allow 1 touchdown on defense in the second half, and that was despite Rutgers, having 3 drives in that second half that gained at least 40 yards. 2 of them gained at least 60 yards. 2 of them had at least 13 plays. But, going back to you're talking about Miller Moss's performance in this game. I thought it was great because to me, this is what USC's offense should be.
Yeah.
This was I thought it was masterful in terms of the game plan. We know that last week SC was playing a team in Maryland that struggled on the back end. Their secondary was not good. They had given up a bunch of deep plays. And I think there's a reason why Miller Moss threw 14 passes that went 15 plus yards last week. He was 7 of 14, and he missed a few of those deep shots that probably blow the game open and allow SC to separate and not have the little weirdness that leads to the loss there. Absolutely. But in this game, this is matchup-wise, Rutgers is a team that their secondary is okay, but their front seven is not great. Yeah. They had a lot of struggles in the front seven. And so I think the game plan, which was keep everything short, keep everything on time, a lot of RPOs, a lot of screens, a lot of little drags, a lot of short stuff. And when you look at Miller Moss's passing in this game, 2 pass attempts longer than 15 yards. He was 0 of 2 on those 2 pass attempts, but yeah, if he's a guy that he doesn't excel at throwing a deep ball, well, then don't throw a deep ball. I know that you want the offense to be explosive and you want, to be able to go vertical and all that. But if that doesn't play into his strengths, then do play into his strengths, which are, I think that he can be very precise and manage the pocket well on the quick passes. And he had a great game in this because look at how many times SC put the ball in the hands of their playmakers at wide receiver, the running backs, with the ball in space, whether it be on screens or drags or, the X-Post cross, PA X-Post cross to Mekhi Lemon to score the touchdown, the 40-yard pass. That's the kind of stuff that this offense should be doing right now when you have an offensive line that struggles, make every pass quicker. The offensive line was great tonight because they didn't have to worry about, a lot of long developing pass plays. Only 1 negative play in this entire game for USC on offense. That's great. That's absolutely great. You look at, you look at the numbers, SC averaged 8.7 yards per play.
As Marcus said in the chat, I didn't notice the offensive line for the first time this season. Yeah. That's a good thing, right? Yeah.
If you don't notice the offensive line, that's great. If you don't notice your corners, if you don't notice a long snapper, that's awesome. That's the ideal situation. And then defensively, it's not a perfect game from SC, surely. They gave up 434 yards, but I'm going to give SC a pass in the secondary when they had so many guys out. And also, this defense has just been reliably a 20-point defense like we've talked about all season. They did their job. They held them to 20 points. The entire game plan was going to be to slow down the running game. They held the running the Rutgers yards per carry is 2.9 because there's a lot of Kaliak-Banis sacks and negative plays there. Mm-hmm. But Kyle Monangai, incredible player. I thought he was
impossible to bring down.
Impossible to bring down. Hope he's doing well. It looked like he might have gotten concussed, and you hate to see that. I thought he was great for Rutgers. So hard. There was that one play where Bryson Shaw does the exact right thing to do to barrel in and take out his legs, and Monangai's like, no, I'm gonna keep going here. But he had a long of 27 and an average of 4.8 yards. Part of it is he got hurt and had to leave the game, and they were sort of managing his carries because he was questionable going into the game. But they made Kaliak-Banis beat you. That was seemingly both the game plan and the route that Rutgers had to go with Monangai out of the game. And they gave up a bunch of third downs. That's not great. SC's worst performance on third downs in a long time all season, 11 of 22. That's literally twice the rate that SC was allowing coming into the game, because it was 25.7%, I think.
I think that's got a lot to do with not having Kamari Ramsey on the field.
Yes.
As we've talked about,
he's
Kamari
the third
Ramsey,
down specialist.
Yeah, has been a big playmaker on third down, and he wasn't there.
But the defense made Kelly McManus beat you, and then on top of that, sort of made Rutgers just like burn themselves out by having these really long drives. And they ended up having really long methodical drives, but they didn't score on a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they had a bunch of third downs and fourth downs, and they ran, 89 plays, 38 more plays than SC did, because SC was explosive and also didn't stay on the field a lot in the second half. But I don't know. I think this was fine. This was on a short week, coming off of a 3-game losing streak. You need something, and I think they got a lot of positivity to come out of it, especially when your secondary is completely hurt, decimated by injuries. This was pretty good. Honestly,
again, if it all comes back to that Maryland game, if USC beats Maryland, and this is second win on the bounce, this is a perfectly adequate win on short rest after a trip across the country. And you're pointing to, again, USC is getting the job done. Yes, the defense looks vulnerable, but you can live with a 20-point defense, more than enough. You wanted the offense to be better in the second half, but also, unlike last year when 42 points was not necessarily enough, 42 points with what USC is getting out of their defense from your offense, that's more than enough points every single week to say you're not in danger of losing games. USC was in danger of losing games last year with 42 points because their defense couldn't stop anything. So this defense is getting enough of the stops that they needed. So, 42-20 is by all measures a really solid result given the context of the game. Not even just given the context of the game, just being a conference game in the middle of October when injuries and wear and tear are starting to weigh on you. Like I would sign up for 42-20 pretty much the whole way through from USC's perspective. But because you lost to Maryland, you aren't. This is the first. So I just think that there's not quite. Like the positivity from this game could have been so much more if USC had taken care of business last week. But having said that, they didn't take care of business last week. This week, they ran into a similar problem in the second half, and then they put it to bed. And psychologically, I think that you can say that this was a very important situation for USC to be in, to get into, and then get out of. And thankfully, it is against Rutgers, who clearly was not in a position to truly challenge USC and truly make it tough on USC. And that helps. But from the psychological perspective, it doesn't really matter what Rutgers is or isn't. USC tonight confirmed to themselves, yes, we can take care of business. Yes, when the team comes back close in the second half, we can put them away still. Yes, we can score 42 points. Yes, we can, get some late. Yes, we can get sacks. Yes, we can get some turnover on downs late. Like just these little things that don't automatically become things that you build upon. Yeah. But you got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere, and at the very least, USC has put these down as a potential things to build upon, and I'll certainly take that. And yes, chat, I am drinking a Miller Lite. It's not my favorite. I will say I much prefer Coors.
The correct, you're not going to agree with me, and it's going to hurt my soul. The correct ranking of the big American three is Coors 1, Miller 2, Bud 3.
No, I go Coors, Bud, Miller.
If I never drink Bud Light again or Bud in my life, it will be considered a good life.
It's so weird to me because I don't really tell the difference between Coors and
That
Bud.
is an insane take. insane.
They're more or less interchangeable to me.
Boy, you guys think that I have bad food takes. She's got terrible drink takes. Anyways, it's late. A lot of stuff still to get to on this Carcast. But Lamont popped in and said it's 3:20 in Georgia. I'm waiting to hear what your thoughts are on Makai Lemon taking over kick returns instead of Branch. Please answer soon. My eyes are burning and I need to sleep.
Lamont, that's a true commitment from you in Georgia. Thank you for being around. We definitely we're definitely saluting you for your commitment. I think what we saw from Makai Lemon on that kick return is what USC has been missing from Zachariah Branch, and it's very simple. It's pure confidence. Just Makai got the ball, took his cut, and bam, he's off to the races. Mm-hmm. And I think we see that from him with yak yards as a receiver as well. He gets the ball and makes his cut and just goes. And that is the sign of a confident player who knows that they are just gonna go and tear things up, and somebody who's not thinking too hard. And it just feels continually like Zachariah Branch is thinking too hard on these returns. So it was very nice to see, and I think that maybe it's a challenge too, a personal challenge to Branch, that Makai Lemon is out there, and maybe he's going to be coming for your punt return duties soon too.
I thought it was interesting that it was kickoffs, not punts. But yeah, I think Makai Lemon looks great, and you talk about the confidence stuff. It's one of those things where it's difficult to assume that it's confidence just because that's an intangible,
right?
And it's hard to point to. But like, it's hard to not think that that's what it is, right? There's been a lot of talk about like, is Branch's stuff in his head? I don't know. It's hard not to wonder that. And then you see what Makai Lemon has done, and yeah, you're right. He looks confident with the ball. The touchdown that he had on the crosser, I thought was a gorgeous route. It's a brilliant crosser. Beautiful play. It's pass interference. Play action. Ex post cross. If you play any video game, and it was a great run, and he makes a nice little cut. Miller hits him with a lot of protection on the play act. Like you catch Rutgers out because the post clears out the safety. It's beautiful. And yeah, I thought Makai Lemon has been great in all phases. Especially lately, the tweet that Shotgun put out there that like he wasn't SC's leading receiver through the first 5 games or whatever, and he missed a game, and yet he still now leads SC in receiving. It's wild. Wouldn't have guessed that after the Wisconsin game when Jacoby Lane sort of went off, but this receiving core needed somebody to step up and say, "I'm the damn guy," and that damn guy is Makai.
Yeah, and I think Makai is the receiver that is most suited to Miller Moss's skill set. And I think in that sense, I do feel bad for someone like Jacoby Lane or Deuce Robinson, because I think that they, at this stage in their career, would have thrived much more with like a Caleb Williams type, just, putting the ball downfield with the big arm kind of thing. So that's slightly unfortunate for Lane and Deuce, but it's really important for USC that Makai Lemon is coming on the way that he is and emerging. Makai Lemon, as I think we've said this before, Makai Lemon, as you're seeing him now, is what USC fans, and I'm sure USC, thought that Zachariah Branch could be. And it was really hurting USC early in the season that Zachariah Branch was not sort of taking over that role in games where USC needed him to sort of take over. And in this game, we have seen Makai Lemon just take over the game in the passing game. So that's, and again, it's no guarantee that he'll be able to do that against Nebraska, for instance, who has a better defense than Rutgers. But it's still important that USC is finding these weapons and getting more consistent performance out of somebody. Not that Mekhi Lemon was inconsistent, but the circumstances of the season sort of turned him into a little bit more of an inconsistency. So
yeah, there was a question in the chat about Deuce Robinson, whether or not he got any catches. No, he didn't. One target. Jacoby Lane, I just had it a second ago. Jacoby Lane had 2 catches on 3 targets. Yeah. Lemon 4 on 7. Marks 5 for 5. Branch 2 for 3. Would have been 3 for 3. Should have been 3 for 3. I love that we finally saw him go up, be confident, and win a one-on-one situation. It was like a jump ball, kind of a jump ball, but he made it a jump ball in which he literally jumped, won the one-on-one situation.
Well, I think the ball was a little bit behind, like not totally behind, but like
sure,
if that ball is put further out in front, like I think it's
and he
an
battled.
Catch. Yeah,
that's what you want to see. If
he catches the damn ball,
if the throw is not great, you want your receivers. You want to put it in the radius for the receivers to make a play. And Zachariah Branch did until it got overturned because SC scored 4 touchdowns on the first 2 drives.
Can we talk about this?
The officiating in this game?
Number 1.
I was shocked they started to call pass interference.
I mean,
in both directions, it was surprising.
But that overturned call. I still don't know what it is that they saw to overturn that call.
I thought both overturns of touchdowns were bad. The second one, yeah, like if you don't think Marks got in, I'm fine with that. But like, I don't know that there was enough to obviously overturn it. But the first one especially, I don't understand. Because we've seen plays before where it is allowed to hit the ground if you have control the whole time.
His hands,
and he had control the whole time.
His hands are on the ball.
Yeah.
In within his gloves, and the ball touches the grass, but it's never out of his control.
It's in his hands the entire time.
The rule is that it has to be out of your control for it to be.
Yeah. The ground can help you catch the ball. That's essentially what it was kind of doing. I don't know. Either way, SC scores again, like 2 plays later.
I also just really want to quickly address. A couple people are saying that the audio is cutting out, but more people are saying the audio is not cutting out. So I don't know what's going on that front.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't seen anything on our end.
If it's not cutting out for everybody, then that to me suggests that it might be either a YouTube issue or connection on the other side. Because if it was on our audio, just for the record, if it was from us, everybody would be hearing it.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that.
Yeah. A lot of stuff still to talk to in this. You talk about the audio cutting out. Maybe we can cut out a little bit for real, and talk about Underdog Fantasy. I am a sad boy because right here on the screen, as you can see, I had Underdog Fantasy is so awesome because you can play fantasy in California, which is great. Mm-hmm. But like it's all stat projections, right? There's a stat projection and you have to say whether it's going to be higher or lower and you make multiple picks. So Woody Marks, it was 98.5 rushing yards. I said higher.
You did say higher.
And it was 94.
It looked really good for most of the game. Like you were going to get that higher.
But Mekhi Lemon, 46.5 receiving yards. That was higher. And the Kyle Monangai one, that one stung. 90.5 rushing yards for Kyle Monangai. I thought that was an easy one to say higher on. He would have gotten it if he didn't have a presumed concussion. He finished with 86.
Honestly, it is shocking to me, and I know that he went out injured, so he obviously didn't get to have the full game, but he still had 18 carries in this game.
Yeah.
18 carries, 86 yards with a long of 27. So 86 minus 27 is 59 divided by 17. USC held him to 3.4 yards per carry.
I'm impressed with that math. I'm really impressed with that math.
It didn't feel like that.
And you guys can, do a lot of math over in Underdog Fantasy because, guys, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing whether you think your favorite Trojans in the next game when SC plays Washington up in Seattle next week go higher or lower on their stat projections. And, hey, college football happening a lot over this weekend. SC can, sleep in on Saturday, but download Underdog Fantasy today and pick your higher and lowers on your stat projections. Every player, every touchdown, just select higher or lower on Underdog. Download the app and use the code Reign of Troy, which is on the screen here, all one word, Reign of Troy, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Download the app today and use the code Reign of Troy to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates, including California. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER, visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-888. I can never get this. 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right. Thomas in the chat says, where was it? Where was it? It was
Michael,
it was
did
about
you study
my hat.
design? Dig the cap.
Yeah. Roski school, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fight on fighting Roskies.
Yeah. Also in the chat, John Smith says, this was the worst team we'll play this year. SC didn't even look good. Gave up over 300 yards. I totally get that. Trust me, it was not a particularly great defensive performance, but I will say that, if we had Danton Lynn sitting here right now and we were talking to him about the performance of this game, I think that he would be quite happy with a sack adjusted rush yard total of 3.8 yards per carry, 144 on the ground, considering that this offense is their run game is their offense.
Yeah.
Giving up 313 yards to Caliac Manis in a vacuum, I don't like that, but I will say again, USC clearly was focusing on not being beaten on the ground.
Yeah.
And they did give up more than you want to through the air.
Right.
But I think that was
I think it was partially calculated.
A side effect of USC taking away what Rutgers actually really wanted to do. And we saw why that strategy worked because, this is something that you see a lot of times with quarterbacks like Caliac Manis. Let them beat themselves.
Yeah, we talked about it on the preview. In the past 3 games, the month of October, Caliac Manis' passer rating was 89.6.
Yeah.
That was literally 132nd in FBS, which is not good. So, yeah, I think that, making Caliac Manis beat you, I think, is the way to go. He did have more success than I think I would have expected. I give him credit. Like, he was all over the place in the deep shots. The one to Diamond Miller that was wide open, should have been a TD, that he just completely airmailed and on 4th down was brutal. But Caliac Manis, let me tell you, an interesting fella. Rocking the robot face mask. Interesting move for a quarterback. Like that's a Lamar Jackson move. But, have you ever seen a quarterback who does the motions so dramatically? Like he would hand off and then to Monangai and then chug it up the sideline as if he kept it like full on out. Like it was like he was getting graded on literally every single thing, and he would have got flying marks for those things. But realistically, like he struggled with the deep ball. You sort of play the odds there, and it worked out in SC's favor. But I will give it to Kaliakmanis for being able to get the ball out quickly, because SC brought a lot of pressure that didn't always get home. I think they were trying to, quicken him up and force him into a mistake, because he's a guy who's prone to making a mistake. And I thought he was pretty good in getting the ball out quickly. It also helped that SC was sort of playing off on the outside with the corners. DeMar Miller was able to have success that way. But again, they made Rutgers be methodical and sort of burn themselves out, because they would go on long drives that didn't necessarily finish off with points. SC was able to succeed that way.
And that's the thing, is you can...
2 touchdowns.
You can succeed that way if your offense is scoring points, because what it came down to is that Rutgers, they got to a point where they were trading touchdowns with field goals, and they fell behind. And once they fell behind, coming back was always going to be very tough. And at that point, if you're USC, you're perfectly comfortable with them having the ball and needing 16 plays to go down the field to get anything. Obviously, you don't want to give them... the ideal world here is that you don't let them get in scoring range at all, or never have more than 3 plays in a drive. But in the second half, USC's the first 3 drives outside of that touchdown drive, the here we go again touchdown, are all 3 and outs. So, again, what I'm looking at is after that touchdown that brings them within 1 score, where USC has failed in the previous games is that the offense and the defense never did things right at the same time.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of that, and there wasn't a lot of pick-me-up on the other end.
Yes. And so what happened after that touchdown is that USC immediately goes down and scores their own touchdown, and then Rutgers gets the ball back, and they go 3 and out. And then essentially the game is over at that point, because on back-to-back drives, USC's offense did what they were supposed to do, and USC's defense did what they were supposed to do. And unfortunately, that has been far too rare, certainly in the second half. That this is why this game turns out different than what other games turned out. So I think
it also helps that Rutgers went on the 2 long drives in the fourth quarter. So did Maryland. So did Minnesota. So did Penn State. But they got 0 points for it. SC was able to get them off the field at the end. And that was the difference in the game. It also helps that SC had a 3-score lead at that point too, which I think took a little bit of the pressure off, which is probably a good thing too, because it takes off the pressure, allows the defense to maybe not play, with puck or butt, and they're able to get the stop, but also build the confidence, for next week. Because Ron Murdy in the chat says, how do you use this game to build for the remaining games? I think that's exactly it. You use the confidence of this. I think you go into next week, Washington, which again is going to be difficult because it's on the road. Yeah. And I want to get to that road point in a second, but you go from this, take away from this game, Miller, look, we know you excel at X, Y, and Z, and you did X, Y, and Z in this game, and you had a pretty perfect game from it. Woody, look, you are a great pass catching option, a great screen guy, a great running back who can be really productive, and you did it. Defense, look what you did. You went out there and you had 2 drives in the fourth quarter. They were both long drives in which you were on the field for a really long ass time, and you got the stop and didn't give up any points. You can build the confidence that way.
They've had 6 sacks all season, and they had 4 tonight. Now, like I said, I think that USC really still struggles with getting to the quarterback. And if they were better at that, if they had somebody more explosive in that regard, more impactful in that regard, this defense would look a lot different. But at the same time, you take from this game, Zion Branch gets a sack, Gavin Meyer gets a sack, Sam Green gets a sack, Cam Fountain gets a sack. USC is going to need to rely on...
Elijah Hughes should have had one.
Elijah Hughes, stat keepers, whatever you
What
want
are
to
we
say.
doing, man?
Again, it is very important that you get guys like Elijah Hughes and Sam Green and Cameron Fountain integrated into this defense, making plays, gaining confidence, gaining experience. These are all very young players who have had very few snaps in their career, very few live bullets, as Clay Helton used to say. And you're getting that, you're letting them have that in this game, and you hope that this builds confidence for them to go out in the next game when they're again needed late in a game, and they have the confidence and knowledge and experience now to say, okay, we did this last time, let's go out and do this again. So yeah, I will take this. I think this is a very positive game for USC. Building on defense, especially because, like we've said, like a game like this where you're missing the whole secondary, essentially, you just got to survive. And I think that that's ultimately what they did.
Survive in advance.
Yeah, survive in advance. And Marcus in the chat is talking about who was our best defender tonight. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it was Bryson Shaw. I don't know what the numbers say, but he was all over my TV screen. Yeah, I thought that Bryson Shaw was all over the place. I thought he had a few moments.
5 tackles.
Where he made a good tackle. I think he has that face mask that's there. And he's out there trying. I think I tend to agree with Iliam in the chat. Bryson Shaw tries really hard. He puts in a ton of effort. He runs around and tries to do his best. His best isn't always good enough, but I thought he was out there trying to fill a gap that's very difficult to fill. In that he's certainly not Kamari Ramsey, but
right.
You can't expect him to be. You just hope that he comes in and is not a disaster.
I'm gonna say something about Bryson Shaw that I don't mean to be like insulting or anything. I'm not trying to be, but I think you're exactly like the thing from Million 55 is so good. Like, yeah, he tries very hard, a lot of hustle. He's just, Iliam says he's not very good. I think it's more so like he sometimes is a little outmatched out there, right? Yeah. And I think that the reputation that I think that he would have would be a lot better if he was a walk-on.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, because
he has big walk-on energy.
Like he's the dude who's going to go out there and like bleed for you.
Yeah.
He's going to do all the, he's out there. It's not for a lack of effort.
No.
And that's half the battle sometimes, if not more than that. So,
and no, like coaches continue to buy into this.
Coaches
guy
like that stuff,
because he plays, as Marcus says, he plays really hard. I get the feeling that he practices well, that he does what coaches ask of him, and that's why you see him getting snaps. And you have to commend that. But at the same time, when he's out on the field alongside Zion Branch, who certainly has a bit more talent, but is also still raw and doesn't necessarily have. Isn't the complete package yet. You start to see gaps in your defense, especially when you then add in the fact that USC doesn't have any of their starting nickelbacks or their top 2 starting corners. They're having to throw out a secondary that not only isn't your first choice guys, but because it's so piecemeal, you have a group of 5 guys, more or less, who don't necessarily have a lot of experience playing with each other like all the time. So it gets a little bit wonky. That's why you don't want to have to be digging deep into your depth in these positions, but you also need to be able to survive a game where you're missing the guys that you're missing, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I think so. And talking about the confidence thing, like Bryson Shaw, prime example of someone who can really go into next week and feel, confident about, how his performance tonight. There's a comment in the chat from Trojan. This was not a redeeming game for Miller. There was essentially no pressure in the pocket all night. Miller is a decent pocket passer with no pressure. Okay, so if you were someone who got hit by a car because you were crossing a street and a car came and the car hit you, but it didn't kill you, but it hit you and it hurt you and it damaged you. And then the next time you needed to cross the street, you got the willpower to cross the street and you mentally overcame the fear of crossing the street and seeing your life flash in front of your eyes, and you crossed the street successfully. Would you sit there and say, yeah, but there were no cars coming this time? Like, so it doesn't count because there's no cars coming. Like, what did you want him to do here? Like, I get it. Like, Rutgers front seven is not Michigan's, but you can only play who's in front of you at the moment. Like, and Miller did everything that you would have wanted him to do tonight. It doesn't need to it being a redeeming night for Miller doesn't mean that like now you put him in Heisman hype. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. It's just like, this is a confidence builder for him, going into Washington. And then I want to talk about the Washington thing because in the Carcast, the preview, we talked about like SC has this problem of playing a million close games. Every game has gone to the end. 5 of the 7 games that SC had played this season had gone literally to the wire, right? And so is that just what SC is? But I said, or is the other position, the other way of looking at this is it also maybe a home road split thing? Because SC did play a close game with Penn State, but you can argue that was one of their most impressive, if not the most impressive game of the season against the toughest team that they've played. And I think tonight did show that. I think SC does have a home road split issue. We talked about it before the Maryland game, that looking at Lincoln Riley team's performance at SC in the last 2.5 seasons on the road has not been good. There's one game in which SC controlled the game, and that was the Stanford game in week 2 in 2022. Everything else has either been a hard-fought game in which they pulled it out the end, like, UCLA and Oregon State and Cal, but like Cal should have never been close. Arizona in 2022 was a game that never should have been close. ASU last year should have been a game that they completely controlled, and they didn't. We know about the 3 losses on the road this year. Like, I think keep that in your mind going into next week, because I think in a lot of ways on paper, you can feel good about SC in the sense of, like, again, by all the metrics, SC is pretty good. So, and Washington hasn't necessarily been as good as SC in the metrics. But I think the home road splits are going to be something to really be alarming, because SC's form on the road is just not there. It's not there. And to their credit, the LSU game was essentially basically a road game, a neutral site game, and they won that. Michigan, they should have won that game. And maybe if they pull out these games at the end, you build the confidence on the road. I don't know. But I think Washington's going to be tough next week because of the road factor, difficult place to play, and the secondary injury issues. And that's a team that wants to throw the football. I think that's going to be kind of concerning next week. We'll talk about that as we get into this week. But either way, SC wins 42-20. That leave a fresh, good taste in your mouth, you think?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah. This is the first time.
Would you say like minty fresh?
This is the first time in literally a month.
Alicia, I'm doing a bit here.
Oh, sorry.
Would you say that it was minty fresh?
It was minty fresh because we were able to come on for the first time in a month and not talk about a USC loss.
Yeah, but you can talk to your friends.
Yes.
With Mint Mobile, which is awfully fresh, and probably the freshest thing to do on the mobile side of things. I love a great deal. I tell you guys all the time, I love a great deal. It's basically what I do. Like every other day, I'm telling you guys about a great deal, and you can get one over at Mint Mobile. It's easier to switch to Mint Mobile than it is to go to the DMV, than it is to, get an extraction at the dentist. All those things. It's super easy to get wireless for $15 a month. Longest part of the process is like canceling with your other guy. So go to their website, mintmobile.com/Troy, TROY. There you'll see that right now all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with Mint Mobile and bring your own phone number along with all of your contacts, all of your text messages, all that stuff. Find out how easy it is to switch over at Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month to get this new customer offer. And your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Troy. That's mintmobile.com/Troy. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Troy. $45 upfront is required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plan only. Slower speeds above 40 gigs on the limited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Alicia, let's talk about key players. There was a question in the chat earlier, and I missed who asked it, about the defense, and we talked about Bryson Shaw maybe being the guy who stood out there. Who else for you stood out on defense for you?
I thought that Gavin Meyer had a pretty good game, and then him going down injured is
4 tackles,
a concern.
2 tackles for loss.
Yeah. So I believe he got carted out, but I don't know that we know an update on that front.
He got carded in the Penn State game and came back.
Yeah.
So
but he's obviously dealing with something that continues to.
But he can defy the card out. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's a card out defier.
Yeah. I thought that Easton Mascarenas Arnold had a really good game.
Lamont says Sam Green. I love Sam Green.
Yeah, Sam Green.
I have been loving Sam Green since he got on campus. He had a huge spring game. The very first spring game that he had last year, and I thought, this dude is good. I like the 44. Big shout out to Sultan Abdul Malik. Yeah, Sultan Abdul Malik in the 90s wore that 44. And Greg Gunther wore the 44. Remember him?
No.
You don't remember Greg Gunther?
No.
The original 2-way superstar? Not really the original. I mean, you can look at like
clearly a superstar
Del Rio
and
AD and all those guys, but like, you don't remember Greg Gunther? Either way, Sean Green looked great. 3 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 of 2 players with 2 tackles for loss, along with Gavin Meyer. EMA, Easton Mascarenas Arnold, 11 tackles, including a tiffle there and a quarterback hurry. Elijah Hughes should have had that sack we talked about.
I think what we're seeing is that, as Marcus in the chat says, Green was great and Cam Fountain should play more. I think what we're seeing from both of those guys is that what we sort of thought might be the case when guys like Anthony Lucas went down and it was going to be dependent more on these young guys. These young guys might have a little bit more juice as pass rushers. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that they are better than the guys they replace, because sometimes, certainly with the young guys, their aggression can get used against them. When I rewatch the game, I'll look out for that a little bit more. But it is nice to see guys who are getting sacks on the quarterback, but also I thought they were creating some. They didn't get any quarterback hurries necessarily, but it felt like they were creating some pressure that unsettled the quarterback. So
5 quarterback hurries as a team, which isn't terrible for sure.
Yeah.
You said Juice, which reminds me of a great song from a great band, probably the greatest band of all time. The Lemon Song, which they need to play at the Coliseum for every Mekhi Lemon touchdown. Play the Lemon Song.
Oh, but you won't get a lemon. I wouldn't get a lemon.
That's not the same thing. I'm just saying the Lemon Song is great, but I don't know that you want to sing the lyrics because it's literally squeeze me, baby, till this juice runs down my leg. The way you squeeze my lemon, I'm going to fall right out of bed. You know what I mean?
I have some serious questions about...
Are you having issues with Robert Plant right now?
I am, yes.
Realistically, that might have been one of the songs that they stole from, Robert Johnson, but I don't know.
Either way,
I think it honestly was.
For me, Mekhi Lemon and Woody Marks are just outstanding. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about both. They are like my favorite things about this season. And I want to see them continue to be the primary playmakers in this offense. Mm-hmm. It was nice to see Kyle Ford get that touchdown. I thought that was a great effort from him. Always good to see. Hold on to the ball, Kyle, because that could have been a really bad start for USC in the early goings when he fumbles and
critical error overcome.
Good on Jay Fair for being present and mindful and going to make sure that didn't become a bad moment. It's been nice to see Jay Fair start to become a little bit more of a feature in this offense, which is
he gets
good.
The ball. Would you call that a fair play?
Yeah, it is a fair play.
It's a fair catch.
It is a fair catch. That is correct.
All right.
There's a question in the chat about is the Joyner question. So
about Quentin Joyner?
Yeah, Quentin Joyner. He has 3 carries again.
14 yards.
14 yards. He just when he carries the ball, like
5.36.
You just have one of those moments where it's like this kid could just take off. Like it's a joy to see him carry the ball, but
it's a Joyner to see him carry the ball.
Yes. But I will continue to say that Joyner's lack of carries says something about how much they trust him to be in the game. And I would like to see that trust start to grow. But when it comes down to it, as far as I'm concerned, Woody Marks and Mekhi Lemon should be touching the ball, 20 times each every game. So I don't need Quentin Joyner to be a featured part of this offense. Yeah. So long as Woody Marks is there doing his job.
Quentin Joyner had three carries. 2 of them came in the last 2 minutes of the game on that Mayava drive. So take that for what it's worth. How much of it is no blocking, no Rocky? I think a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
How much of it also is Woody Marks just does all the little things right? Like, he's a great pass catcher. He's a great runner, a good blocker. Like, he just does, I was going to ask you about this probably on a different pod, but I just ask it now before I forget. If you had to rank the last 4 1-year the transfer running backs, Joyner, Joyner, Marks,
Lloyd, Dye,
and Ingram. Yeah, all good.
It's incredible.
How do you rank them?
The run USC is on with transfer running backs, honestly, is absurd.
Good. Yeah,
it is absurd. I every year, I loved Keontae Ingram, and then Travis Dye completely stole my heart. He was wonderful. Still tragic that he got that injury, and it was very sad. And then here comes Marshawn Lloyd. It's like, oh my gosh, I found a new love. Like Marshawn Lloyd, incredible runner, like such a joy to watch run the football. And then here comes freaking Woody Marks, who it's like USC keeps leveling up somehow, some way. It's crazy.
Is that the order that you would rank them?
I think I would.
Wow.
I think I would rank Woody Marks, Marshawn Lloyd, Travis Dye, Keontae Ingram. Travis Dye and Marshawn Lloyd probably a little bit closer to each other than either of those are to Woody Marks. Because the thing about Woody Marks is he runs the ball extremely well, but his ability as a pass catcher is really what has given USC a lot of the ability to deal with the offensive line being what it is.
Yeah.
So much of that is because they can just rip the ball to Woody Marks 5-6 times a game and create extended handoffs that way in a way that I don't think any of those other backs really were capable of.
I think it's difficult how to rank this because
Travis Dye maybe because I'm just looking. Travis Dye had 21 catches for 202 yards.
If we're ranking as a entire package, I think you can make the argument for Marks to be number one.
Yeah.
If you're talking
pure
about
running,
if you're talking about pure running, I think Marks might be last.
Give me Marshawn Lloyd every day of the week.
Yeah,
for pure running.
I absolutely take
Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
And Dye's probably very high up there, like for running.
If we're talking about pure running, for me, it's Lloyd 1, Ingram 2. Dye and Marks are tied. If we're talking about total package, I think you might go Marks just because of the pass catching and the blocking and all that stuff. But Dye was great as an all-around guy. I don't think Dye is nearly as explosive as all the other ones, but he did all the other things right too.
Yeah, but Dye was probably the best pass blocker of the...
Yes, but Ingram and Lloyd were the best pure runners of the two.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Ingram, I feel like Ingram was poorly done by being on that god-awful 2021 team. Because I think that
he also missed you know what? And somebody said this in the chat. Where is it? Lamont said, wait, no. Where is it? Somebody said, oh yeah, Lamont said Marks has been taking some hits though. I'm scared the overuse of him so soon in the season.
Mm-hmm.
That is my fear as well, because what we've seen from each and every one of those backs that we've named is that they missed time because of injury. That's why it was so important that USC had a lot of depth at running back over those last 3 years. The surprising thing at this point is not that Quentin Joyner hasn't gotten a lot of carries. It's that USC hasn't been forced to give Quentin Joyner carries yet, because by this time in all of those seasons, the second string running back had already started a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, I think, yeah, I there was another thing about Trojan Fight says
ask about the 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, would he be a 1,000-yard rusher? So he came into today, Woody Marks, having what was the 661, and then he had 94.
90. Where am I?
So
94.
that's what, 757. I think that'll fly.
If he stays healthy, I think he easily gets to 1,000 yards. And Trojan Fight, you are correct. The last 1,000-yard rusher that USC had was Ronald Jones in 2017.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this thing up. It's super late. It's 1:07 local time for us. 4:07 if you're a Rutgers person or living on the East Coast. Also, big shout out to all of our listeners right now in Jakarta. It's 3:07 p.m. Over there. So good luck on them for being able to tune in the afternoon.
I just saw Trojan Fight's other comment. We need a rename of the show. Can't remember the last time I saw one of these in a car.
I wanted to mention this. I have, I am notorious for anxiety and what do you call it? what's the imposter syndrome? I am very self-conscious of the name Carcast because I know what it means. I think a lot of our listeners know what it means. A lot of the Rotbots who have been here from the beginning. Top Trojan fan who used to listen when we were on, recording on with a an aluminum can, basically, knows that these were originally in the car, but the idea of the Carcast, which is, I literally put it in the description, in the YouTube description, as an explainer, because I've been waiting for people to be like, this isn't in a car. Why is it a Carcast? But this conversation is supposed to mimic it's supposed to be the conversation you have when you get in the car on the way home from the game. That's what this is. And we used to literally do this in a car.
Yeah. At a Wendy's parking lot.
Yeah. And it's been so ingrained in people that we do Carcasts that we had to stick with the name because that's just what it is. Ryan over at USCfootball.com, they do instant analysis, right? They can't change the name.
Even when it's not instant?
Even if it's not instant, you can't change the name. That's what it is. It's the name brand, baby. Yeah. All right. We're gonna wrap things up there. I'm upset that you didn't comment on my 757 fly remark.
I didn't.
But we did get a call or a text, a message in the chat. See, it's 109. I can't even think. From Danny that says that I haven't talked about the Dodgers yet. Okay, here you go. Here's me talking about the Dodgers. I'm muted right now, and none of you can hear me because who gives a flying fuck about the Dodgers? And so it was one of those things that you wish you could hear everything I'm saying, but you can't right now. And so, yeah, what a moment for everything there. All right, that's gonna. Oh, Lamont says, have you ever had the cops knock on the window to say find a hotel? So, okay, no, we've had security guards drive very slowly. We recorded a Carcast once because
at the mall, was that?
Because we used to do, since you lived in the Valley and I lived in the South Bay, and when we were going to games and stuff, we would meet in the parking lots at the Westfield Mall in, it's like Culver City, Westchester, whatever it is. We would meet there. And one time we didn't record the Carcast, in the McDonald's off of Fig. We recorded the Carcast in that parking lot in the second story of the parking structure at the Westfield Mall. Recording a Carcast, immediately the windows start fogging. It's very uncomfortable, very difficult. And mind you, this was before there was anything here, if you catch my drift. So it was very uncomfortable that the windows would start fogging. And then there was a security guard that drove by very slowly multiple times.
And we would clock that the security guard was going around, but never had a security guard get to the point where they were like, okay, this is sus. We had many hour anxiety convincing us that somebody else in the parking lot was about to come be weird to us, but I don't think we ever really had.
I think we got lucky.
I think we got lucky. Yeah. I think the worst thing we probably ever had was we parked in a spot and then we were recording and then somebody else parked in the spot that was directly facing us, and it just goes
that is the most uncomfortable thing ever.
We're just holding our microphones
what are they doing over there? And it's foggy. What's going on? Yeah. This is why I like to record at the McDonald's facing the cinder block wall.
Yeah.
That faces that skunky motel that's over there. Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, the Roski Grad School building is over there off of 30th, right across the street, on the same street that Carl's Jr.'s on, right across the street. Mm-hmm. So I would park on Flower when I had a class over there. And I one time walked by that motel on Flower. This is a very niche thing. If you went to SC and you know about this hotel, cool. And I always thought that hotel looked skunky. I walked by once and I saw the lobby. The lobby is literally a window, like a box office window, with bars over it that says cash only, hourly rates available.
Yeah, that's
which I always thought was like a joke, right?
No.
A cash only hotel.
Yeah, with hourly rates. Yes, that's a hotel.
Yikes.
For a certain kind of thing.
But when you want to get a little shut eye between classes.
Hey, exactly. Yeah. Thank you to everyone in the chat, Marcus, Thomas, Rama, for the kind messages about helping your day go faster and keeping sane. We're it's very nice. Honestly, it is so nice to be sitting here after a USC win. We're just kind of chilling, having a beer, chatting with friends. Like, it's all good.
By the way, I just noticed that my pint glass today.
It's a Coors. I know. I gave it to you.
Yeah. Last little thought. It's 1:14. We're just rambling now.
Yeah.
My little weird anxiety is about the pod. Another one. Try not to wear the same hat on back-to-back episodes. Try not to wear a hat that I've worn recently because I don't want someone to be like, "Didn't you wear that hat last time?" I get really self-conscious when I you know how people buy shot glasses?
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who buys pint glasses because pint glasses are actually useful. If you buy 1 million shot glasses, you just have 1 million shot glasses that you're just never going to use. Maybe that's a me problem. Sure.
Been there. Yeah.
But like pint glasses, super useful. You can use them for everything. And so I always have a pint glass here during every episode. I get really self-conscious when like we have 2 like Buc-ee's ones. And I'm like, oh, did I have a Buc-ee's ones on the last episode? Is someone like keeping track and think that I just have dirty glasses?
I get really self-conscious and nervous that we're going to end up in a situation where all of the unaffiliated pint glasses will be dirty at the same time, and the only pint glasses that we will have are
a Stanford one or a Utah one,
Colorado, you know, like one of those.
Well, I will be if we can get to the Washington bookstore, I will be buying a UW pint glass.
So I'm always like, as I'm going to grab the glass, because usually I'm the one who grabs the water. I can grab it and think
that's when you turn it like this.
I know.
I mean, you can see it, but you don't really know what it is.
I had the Utah one. I had one at some point. I think it was in the last year. And I remember specifically like holding it a certain way so that I would hide that I was drinking out of the Utah glass.
Yeah. Roman Birdie says we don't care what hats or glasses you use.
See,
no, but you might.
That's
you might.
Rational way to experience our podcast. But we are not rational people.
We're 2 weirdos on antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills. Like, you know, we're not normal.
Yeah.
We're
neurodivergent.
Neurodivergent, as TikTok would say. Yeah. All right. Goat449 says I'm going to the Washington game next week. So are we. And now's the time to just remind people if you hadn't heard before, no Carcast next week. So no Carcast. We're going up with friends and family, and we're super excited about it. Our first game as fans, if you will.
We have to get
like a decade.
Michael, that's what we need to get. Touchdown raisins.
Yes. We went to the 2013, which I believe that was the last game that you and I sat together in the stands.
That's probably true.
Yeah, the 2013 Vegas Bowl game.
That was a great game.
Because since then we've gone as media.
I was miserably hungover.
Yeah, I wasn't. But
that was the most hungover I've ever been in my life. Yeah. But it's still a lot of fun at the game.
I've got videos of drunk Alicia yelling at the top of her lungs on Fremont one of these days.
I had a lot of cider that night.
Yeah, but there were people next to us or behind us, in front, wherever they were.
Yeah, whatever we were sitting, yeah.
Who like their tradition was touchdown raisins. SC scored, Buck Allen gets in the end zone, touchdown raisins are coming out, and we're like, this is kind of cool.
Like chocolate covered raisins. They were just handing them out to everyone. Touchdown raisins. Like instead of doing a shot, you do like a handful of touchdown raisins. It was awesome, and we've been talking about doing it ever since.
Yeah,
but we haven't like gone to games together to do it.
Yeah,
so.
And if you're listening and you are the touchdown raisin people,
you gotta write in Rain of Troy at fansided.com. Write in, let us know that you are the touchdown raisins people, because we love the touchdown raisins. We've literally been talking about it for a decade.
Yeah, last week we lived by a liquor store. We walked to the liquor. We walked the pup to the liquor store. I went in to get the Elixir of the Gods Diet Pepsi, and I was looking. You're like, see if they have
touchdown raisins, because it was right before the game.
Yeah, they didn't, and that's why SC lost.
Maybe I was going to say maybe if we had the touchdown raisins, then we would have won the game. Yeah. Like, it's clearly the touchdown raisins that are the good luck charm.
Yeah. All right. We will see you guys next time. We'll see you guys on Monday to talk more about SC and Rutgers. SC gets a 42-20 win over the Scarlet Knights. Rutgers has never beaten USC. They're 0-1. USC.
Did they announce attendance?
Oh, hold on. It should be in here in the thingamabob notes and docs.
You have it?
I have it. You want to spoil over under right now?
Yes.
63,404.
God damn it. There were not 63,000 people
Michael.
at the Coliseum.
Have to commend you, Michael.
Michael was right. Michael was right. Michael was right.
There were not 63,000 people in the Coliseum today.
No, but it's paid attendance, baby.
Yeah.
All right, last thing. Thomas says Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke.
No.
You just asked the question that you're going to get a 5-minute answer for.
Yeah.
The answer is both. What is the method in which I'm drinking?
There's a different answer for different methods.
Is it right off the tap? It's Diet Coke. Is it in a 2-liter bottle? It's Diet Pepsi. Out of a can, I lean Pepsi. In a mass-produced sense, I usually lean Pepsi. Freshly made, right there, out of the good old fountain.
All right, now give
me a Coke.
Now give them your fountain ratings.
Oh, of restaurants?
Mm-hmm, for the Diet Coke.
Oh, there's 3. There's 3 places that have elite Coke. In-N-Out, McDonald's, and Whataburger. They all all 3 of them have elite Coke. McDonald's Coke is the OG king. But Whataburger and In-N-Out might honestly be better, which is probably a wild take. But either way, those 3 are so far ahead of everybody else. Anybody who has a freestyle machine can kick rocks, because those things are absolute garbage. They ruin the purity. Where
were we that you said that their Diet Pepsi from the tap was elite?
Yes. Okay. So the best Diet Coke, like I said, McDonald's, Whataburger, or In-N-Out. Best Diet Pepsi? I actually have 2 answers. The best Diet Pepsi from a chain is B-Dubs. I don't know why.
That's right. That's where we were.
The Diet Pepsi at B-Dubs, infinitely better than the Diet Pepsi at Taco Bell, which makes no sense.
Oh,
because, Pepsi used to own Taco Bell.
Do they not anymore?
No.
Oh.
But they still supply them. They still have friends.
That's true.
They still have benefits.
Rama Murdy asks, it says from Monday's show, we need a discussion on root beer and which one is the best. Do you have root beer takes, Michael? Get these out of the way.
My only root beer take is, first of all, A&W, I would assume. Maybe that's I don't drink a lot of root beer, so that I can't tell you Barks versus Dad's versus any of those.
We did a root beer tasting with my brother.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I came away with. I want to say it might have been A&W.
My thought is...
But it was a mass-produced one because we got craft ones as well. And while they were good...
Those are all more medicinal tasting.
They were just more, like, not what I associate with, like, mass-produced root beer. They were more like beers where it's like the hoppiness of it sort of impacts other stuff.
Yeah, but my root beer take is that it is a drink to have. Root beer float is good.
Love root
beer
floats.
Root beer, just like lemonade, is a drink you have without food. It's too potent. It alters the buds for what you're eating. That doesn't work for me.
See, I have a weird sensory memory of when I was a kid, we went to the East Coast and we went to Mount Vernon, and they make their own root beer. They've made their own root beer for a long time at Mount Vernon. And we went to like the restaurant there at Mount Vernon.
They make it now. They didn't used to make it.
Huh?
Historically, unfortunately, they didn't used to make it, but now they do.
Oh, okay. No, well, whatever they do, they make it like on site, whatever. And I ordered I believe it was like a chicken pot pie or something like that. And I had chicken pot pie and I had the root beer. And like, so now every time I think of root beer, I think of chicken pot pie.
I love me a chicken pot pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thomas says, don't get soda at Johnny Rockets or Subway, though. I used to work next to a Subway, next door to a Subway. I would go to Subway all the time. I have a take about Subway soda, but I don't think it's something I should share publicly.
Is your take about Subway soda that Subway probably under syrups their sodas in general because they're cheap as
No, my
all
take
hell?
about Subway soda is not really exclusive to Subway, but it's one of those things that like I would probably shouldn't recommend to people, you know? I've told you my thing, what I used to do when I was, you know, a dumb 22-year-old or 20-year-old, whatever, and going to Subway on work shifts.
The only thing I remember about you and Subway work shifts is that you went in one time and the guy behind the counter said, "Oh, the usual or whatever," and you never went back.
I went to Subway all the time getting a foot-long meatball on Italian extra provolone. And I walked in one day and the guy's like, "Foot long on meatball extra provolone on Italian?" Like, yeah. That was the last time I ever went. Because it was uncomfortable. This guy knew my order.
Being perceived is a...
Yeah.
That tales
not
from...
good for my social anxiety.
Tales from pre-Prozac Michael, as I started to call them.
Yeah. Okay, the Subway thing is, when I was a dumb kid, do not do this. Do not do this. I'm legally telling you not to do this.
I'm now genuinely scared.
I used to enjoy to get the soda cup at Subway because Subway has big cups. And that's a reason why I would do this, because they had big, large cups. I would get the soda. I'm not telling you to do this. Do not do this. Disclaimer. I would get the soda and I would load it up about 2/3 of the way at the fountain, and then I would immediately guzzle it. Just take a couple of big gulps, and then the cup then forms a seal around your nose, or it formed a seal around my nose.
This is going.
And then I would inhale the CO2. Again, do not do this. And I would have no oxygen for a half second.
This dude's doing like Pepsi whippets.
Again, do not do this. And then all of a sudden you get a rush of oxygen. And it's like one of those, like Kramer, like. Again, do not do this. I do not recommend this. Don't be a dumbass like me.
Oh Lord. Robin Murdy says Ike's is better than Subway, and that is like
Ike's, baby.
It's not even like it's not even comparable. Like Ike's is like going to a Michelin star restaurant compared to like getting a Danger Dog Not the good kind from Subway.
Yeah. Yeah, I love me some Ike's. Love me a Super Mario.
I'm all about the Robin
Dutch
Williams.
Crunch, no veggies.
Dutch Crunch.
Mostly because and you can leave the dirty sauce on there because I respect Ike, and Ike says that that's the way you're supposed to get it. But the veggies, I understand that. I just don't like the veggies. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I don't think most of their sandwiches need the veggies.
No.
Why are you going to put the veggies on a meatball sub? You know what I mean?
I don't really like, because the veggies it's just lettuce and tomatoes usually, and I don't like either of those. Rama Murdy is looking out for Jessie because she literally just got up and did a stretch. She says Jessie's going to need a walk soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
She is. On the plus side, because Jessie has been a nightmare toddler, I'm
worried.
I got some bully sticks, and she got a bully stick while we podcasted now. So
I'm
she's
worried.
Spoiled.
We're going out of town. Jessie is going to be hanging out with her pal Kenny.
No, Jessie's a perfect angel for Uncle Kenny.
I hope so. She's been a crazy dog the last week for some reason.
It's like she knows we're leaving.
I don't know. I hope she's good for Kenny. That's all we can hope. All right.
Jessie did not get named from Family Guy. She's named from Breaking Bad.
Yes. But spelled the way of Toy Story.
Yes.
Because our other dog is named Combo.
Yes.
And Combo and Jessie both were from Breaking Bad.
This is Combo.
Yeah, that's Combo. Combo's a good boy.
Combo's even got a collar that says Combo.
Yeah. Combo's and no, I shouldn't tell them my taxidermy opinions.
Please don't, because I don't like your taxidermy opinions either.
All right, we're out of here. Until next time, we'll see you.
See ya.
See ya.